I am delighted to be joined by Art Giser this evening. You are presenting at the NLP Conference in 2024, and your topic is whole being permission and alignment, which sounds very intriguing. So please do start, Art, by telling us a little bit about yourself and your presentation.
Well, I've been an NLP trainer actually since 1985. I studied with all the developers of NLP, and some of you know Leslie Cameron Bandler, who was amazing in NLP, and she was my primary mentor. I was incredibly lucky, and my whole NLP career has been very, very charmed and lucky. And but one thing that I started looking at early on is, and I love NLP. I love it as much as I did from the beginning all those years ago. And like anything, it has its strengths, its weaknesses, and things that it just doesn't cover. And one of the things that I realized early on is that, to me, one of the strengths and weaknesses of NLP is that you treat everything as being internally generated. And that's a great strength of NLP. And for those of us that are into spirituality and energy work, we would say that's not 100% true, that we're absorbing energies, emotional energies, and other kind of energies from other people. And we have ancestral energies coming down that program us very much like unconscious programming. So in energetic NLP, we add those factors in. So for instance, when we do parts work, in NLP, you treat every part as if it's an authentic part of yourself. We would say, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So we first drain other people's energy out of the parts. And then sometimes some of them are just gone. But most of the time they're there, but they change. They become more authentic to you without all the programming from other people. Then when you do parts work and parts negotiations, it's a whole different kind of experience. And one of the things that we look at that, again, it hasn't been part of NLP traditionally, is that, so in NLP, we're focusing on the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And what I realized years ago is that there were other parts of the person that were involved. So a person has a spirit, they have a soul, they have a karma, they have spiritual contracts, they have energetic programming. And I would be working with somebody, and sometimes they would consciously want something, and unconsciously they would still want it, but their soul or their spirit would be blocking it. And the first time that happened to me, I was really like shocked, like, because it was something positive, and how could this be happening? So I developed this whole concept, this model we call whole being permission, where you get alignment between a person's spirit, their soul, their conscious mind, their unconscious mind, their body, their karma, and their spiritual contracts. So at the conference, what I'll be speaking about is easy ways that you can create this whole being alignment.
Wonderful. Oh, that just sounds beautiful. So, what practical learnings will delegates take away from your session?
It's I'm laughing because it's totally practical.
Yeah.
Because I first discovered it, I was working with a woman many years ago, very loving, compassionate person, very smart, physically attractive, and she didn't have any trouble having boyfriends, and they were nice men, but they weren't men that she could build a life around, which is what she wanted. So I started working with her, and then I got this communication from her soul that it didn't want that, and that's why it's like her conscious mind wanted it, her unconscious mind wanted it, but her soul was going, no, I want her to be independent this lifetime. I'm thinking, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I realized there were these other factors involved. And so, well, people in my presentation, they'll create whole being alignment for themselves. And it's not a strict training session, but they'll be learning the steps, and I'll supply them with the steps and everything, a manual and everything, so they can go through it later. But they'll learn how to do that with other people too, how to create alignment for their clients, for people in their lives, and for themselves. And everything's different when it's like, when we talk about congruence in NLP, when you have that solid congruence, you do have that whole being permission. But very often we think we have congruence, but there's something a little off. And that very often is either in their karma, their spiritual contracts, the wants and needs of their spirit, and the wants and needs of their soul, which are two different things. And that's one of the things people will be learning about. What's the difference between an individual spirit and an individual soul?
Looking forward to this. So is there anything that delegates can do beforehand that will give them sort of either a deeper understanding or deeper experience during your session?
Oh, absolutely. I have a free series of videos that will people get a real sense of some of the basic concepts. They'll start clearing blocks and connecting more with their own miraculous abilities in those, and they'll have a real sense whether they would want to attend my session or not. If they don't like those videos, they'll be able to go, no, I'll go to a different session. But they're very transformative, he says modestly. But I have there was enough feedback from people that they're powerful, they're transformative, and people would then come into the session with a really clear sense of what this is, and they'd be ready to rock and roll from the first minute.
I've experienced clearing some of that karma, so I can attest to that definitely. So Art, what inspired you to want to present at the NLP conference?
Well, as you know, I love the conference, and I remember I recommended somebody to it a couple of years ago, and I remember later she going, "This is the best NLP conference I've ever presented at," and there've been a lot of good NLP conferences. I'm not putting other ones down, but you and Kosh really set a whole field of it's about love. It's not about it. We all have businesses. So I mean, yes, it's a business setting, as it should be, but it's about how you can contribute to all of us, how we can support one another. If you come to it in person, being able to meet with people over lunches and dinners and breakfasts, I've made incredible connections with people that are just fantastic people. And because of the whole frame you both set around it, it attracts really some of the nicest people in the field of NLP.
That's very true. Yes, we get the nicest people in NLP. That's lovely, including your good self. So thank you so much, Art, for taking time to be with us this evening. Oh, it's not this evening here. And just to remind people watching, Art is presenting at the NLP conference in 2024, and Art's presentation is Whole Being, Permission and Alignment. And Art, you're presenting at the virtual element of the conference on Saturday, the 10th of February at 1600 hours GMT. So you won't have to get up too early in the morning from California. So thank you again, Art, for taking time to be with us today. And I am really looking forward to your session in February.
Thank you. And I realized I forgot to say one thing. I told people the videos would help them, and I didn't tell them how to find them. So you just go to the word Blockbuster, the number 7, numeral 7.com, and then they're free videos and you can access them. And thank you for this interview. And again, I'm so appreciative of the work you and your whole team do to make this really incredible event that, people go, oh, you're flying over to the UK from California for a conference. I'm going, oh, wouldn't miss it. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Art. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.